Hello, it's Sunday night, and this is Reverend Bill. And tonight I am going to do a review on Horizon Part 1, which I guess has been kind of a lot of controversy about it because Kevin Costner left um, Yellowstone under some controversy because I guess he wanted to do this three-part movie series, and I don't know, somehow they just couldn't work it out. So they ended up writing Costner off Yellowstone. I guess he said that they could film around it, and they said they couldn't, and they ended up, I guess, killing his character off. Um, I didn't see it. I heard it was supposed to be a staged suicide that ended up being a killing or something. I don't really know. I didn't watch second part of season 5. Once I heard Kevin Costner was leaving, I was kind of done. But anyway, he got on to do this movie, which I guess was kind of a failure, big time for him. Uh, and I decided that I was going to give it a shot. It originally was released in the movies and did beyond atrociously. So they tried to save their money and put it on streaming. So it was finally on, I think it was on Netflix that I saw it. But anyway, um, so last night I figured I'd give it a shot, and it's 3 hours. So it's that's just one of the things I want to mention about it. It's really hard to judge this film for a number of reasons. Most of which is when I worked in the movie theaters. We got a movie that was very long. We used to joke around saying it was not a movie; it was a commitment. But that certainly is true with this. This is not a movie. This is a commitment. My review is going to be probably, unfinished because it's incomplete. Give it an I, as I used to do in high school. It's incomplete because the first 3 hours is just setting it up. You can tell it's a saga almost right off the bat. It's not something that's going to, um, be, unraveled and summed up in a 2 hour window. No way. And it runs like that. And I think that's probably what some of the people had a problem with. We'll get into that a little bit. But there are things hanging from the end of the first movie, as you would expect. And you know, I was thinking back to other movies that have given us cliffhangers, and I guess cliffhangers aren't that bad when they're just kind of teases. One that big one that stands out to me when I was in college was Return of the Jedi, not Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, where Han Solo was put in that carbon whatever that carbon casing, and when that movie ended, we're like, hey, wait a minute, we want to find out about Han. And we had to wait an additional, I guess, 2 or 3 years for that to come out. But the thing is, we really got a movie with Empire Strikes Back. It had a dangling little, piece there that we had to wait for. So after we initially got over the sting, it was okay. I mean, we weren't really cheated. We got a full movie out of it, and it was a little bit of a cliffhanger. We were big boys. We pulled up our boots and we waited it out. Um, this one is a little harder to take because there's really nothing resolved. That's why it's so hard to give this one a review. Um, I will say that I did find the stories interesting. I'll get into that a little bit. And I did get into a lot of the characters and what they were trying to do. And I kind of I was interested. That's pretty much an important thing for a movie. You got to care about the characters, and there's a few characters I did care about, so it accomplished that. If you don't care about the characters, you don't care about the movie. Simple as that. But I did care about the characters. When something bad happened to them or they died or something, I felt badly. So it achieved that. But the problem is that at the end of it, and it was, I don't even know what time in the morning it was. It was a 3 hour movie, and I think I probably started at around midnight. So God knows what time I went to bed. But I noticed that they had advertisements for part two, and then I looked, and it's like April. Well, that's not too bad. I can wait till April. But then if they do the same thing with April, and then they have all these loose ends, and I got to wait till part three, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not even sure there's going to be a part three because it bombed so badly at the movies, and I think they already had one and two done. I hope they're going to either have three ready to go or start doing it because, again, this is a commitment. It's a lot of investment of time. Anyway, so that's kind of that. I'm not going to be able to give you an honest to God review or any kind of a grade on it because it's a big incomplete. I like what I saw up to now, but I need to see more. It's obviously not Kevin Costner's film, which I found interesting. He's one of the main characters. Um, there's really not that many characters that stand out, but there are a few. There's probably about four or five that I think you could have an argument that they're the star of the film and the protagonist. But in truth, they're pretty equal. It's like everyone's a co-star. Kevin Costner's character is probably one of the ones that I found least informative. I don't really think I have a good grasp of his character. He seems to do nice things. He seems to grunt a lot. He seems to know how to use a gun, but I don't know whether he's, an expert with a gun or he's just competent. He's at least competent, then I know. But yeah, I mean, it's, when you saw Unforgiven, which, by the way, if you've not seen Unforgiven, that's a great movie. William Money, you knew that he was a killer with a rifle. We don't have that confidence in Kevin Costner's character yet. We just know that he's basically a good guy. I know that I'm not even sure what he trades horses, he says, and said he does other things. There was a scene where it looked like he was maybe counting out gold, so I'm thinking maybe he's a gold miner too, but that's not real clear. So really, his character not really well defined. And he certainly would not be the first person I would point to and say that he's a star of the film, but he certainly is a co-star. But there are. Well, let me get to the point of the movie. So the movie, for the most part, is about there's a man. I guess I'm not sure you actually see him in the movie, although I think you'll see him later on. And I forget his name. It might be Pinkerton or something like that. But he sells property to the settlers in the West, and either he doesn't know or doesn't care, but what he's selling them is prime real estate of Apache land. And a lot of these people, that's all the money they have. So they purchase land and they want to go and they want to settle on it. And it's really in the Apache's back door. And they don't take kindly to that. So they obviously, they do a little bit more than write a nasty letter. Let's put it that way. So they get kind of in a bad situation. They're stuck between losing all their money for the settlement that they paid for, or fighting the Apaches, who aren't the most forgiving people around. So let's see what else we got. The cavalry is too far away to do much good. There is a lieutenant that's played by Sam Worthington. And I kind of see him as to an extent as us, in a way that he sees what's going on and he feels sorry for them and he wants to help them, but that's just way out of his league. So I think that that's there too. He does care for them and he does what he can do, but when you're, I don't know, I want to say it's like 26 miles away from the land, and he's only got a horse, there's really so much he can do. So there's that. I mentioned Kevin Costner's character plays Hayes Ellison. We don't know much about him. There's a woman Sienna Miller, by the way, does an outstanding job. I've not really seen her in that many movies. I've seen her in a few, but I think she really knocks the ball out of the park with this one. She plays Frances Kitteridge, and I'm not going to explain to you her situation. That's something you kind of find out in the beginning. I say the beginning because it's probably in the first hour, which for this kind of saga is pretty much the beginning. It takes a long time for the story to get set up. But yeah, she's in a situation where she needs some help, and the lieutenant comes in and his name's Trent Gephardt, I guess, and he tries to help her any way he can, but his hands are tied. There's also Michael Rooker. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead, you probably know him. He was probably in the first season mostly, and he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was a blue guy. I forget his name, but he had the absolute worst Irish brogue I've ever heard in my entire life. Now, I'm an immigrant. My parents had very strong Irish brogues. So I tend to think I'm somewhat of an expert on brogues. And I got to tell you, that's about the worst I've ever heard. He'd been better off just not using it. Then it's painful to hear his Irish brogue. However, he did a great job with the role. He just didn't need that accent. Every time he talked, it was just grating on me. But he actually did a good job. Liked his character. Very interesting. I'm sure he's going to be used quite a bit over the three movies. Abby Lee, who I'm not familiar with, but I looked her up, and apparently that's her right there, as a matter of fact. She's a model, and I think she's done a couple of movies, but I've never seen her in anything. She does an outstanding job where she plays, I guess you'd have to say a prostitute, but it's more of that's too easy. It's more of a saloon girl, I guess, from the Westerns. And she just tries to get money for however she can. She's not opposed to sleeping for it. But she'll cook, she'll give you a room, she'll do whatever it takes to get some money. That's what she's after. And there are plenty of others, but I don't want to get into all of them because, like I said, there's no one star here that you point out and go, oh yeah, that's the protagonist. Let's see what else I got here. I already covered that. There is plenty of action. So if you do like the old Westerns with the gunfights and all that, you got plenty of that. I do get a kick out of the way that they don't, when I was growing up, it was cowboys and Indians used to play. But, here they're calling them indigenous people, which I'm sure in the Westerns, they didn't call them that. But I guess, you got to be PC even in Westerns now. But there is plenty of fighting, plenty of fight-offs with the indigenous or Indians, whatever you want to say. And, I'm looking forward to seeing, I guess, all in all, I would say that I liked what I've seen so far. If this was the end of the movie, I would obviously not be very nice to it because there's so many things that are outstanding. But being that this is part 1 of 3, I'm inclined to believe a lot of these unanswered questions will finally come up with some answers, at least most of them. So I'm hopeful. So while I will hold back my final grade, I will say that I like what I see thus far. And while it may not have the pace of an Unforgiven, we have to understand it's a saga, and we have to treat it as one. And like I said before, it takes an hour or more just to build up the setup, and hopefully it'll deliver. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. And hopefully when 2 comes out, which is in April, I think April 5th or something, I'll follow up with the part 2. Okay, well, this is the Reverend signing off. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And if not, then thank you for your time. Bye.